Hey everybody, welcome back to Battle Ready Inc. So today's deck profile, we've got BlackWarGreymon, but this time around we've got a red focus on it for the top end rather than working in the previous BT8 BlackWarGreymon. So this is going to be a little bit more aggro, but also we've got the BT8 WarGreymon. So we're shutting down security control, and anytime you shut down security control, always feels good. Also, don't forget our new memory marker this month is Digimon. This is handmade out of clay by my wife, hand-painted face as well. Super adorable, highly detailed, lots going on here with this one. Really liking this. You can find this on our Etsy store, link in the description below. Also there, you can find all of our previous memory markers that we've had on the channel, as well as some of our Battle Ready Ink merch, like we've got our mats, sleeves, as well as our new dice. Alright, so we got the deck here as a whole. Now, remember, this build is a little bit different from how we built the previous one. The previous one was focused on a lot more controlling with the new BlackWarGreymon with its control elements, as well as the BT8 BlackWarGreymon that was attacking into the opponent's Digimon using the Metagame here, inheritable of being able to attack unsuspended, using BlackWarGreymon's ability to repeatedly unsuspend so you could just clear your whole opponent's field with that combo. This is more focused on a little bit more aggro, using the regular WarGreymon here from BT1 of being able to turn off security options in security. I think this will be a huge boon in this format. We'll talk about a lot of the interactions here, but remember, that's kind of our main goal here is go aggro when we need to, or go control when we need to. We got the nice balance in this one. Instead of being too heavily control, we got a nice balance of aggro or control depending on what the situation calls for. So now, to facilitate this red WarGreymon here, he only has an 11,000 DP. So our eggs that we're going into here are giving a 1,000 DP buff. So Kapurimon here, if you have a Tamer in play, it gets a 1,000 DP buff. We're playing 4 Nokias and 2 ties. Getting a Tamer in play is super easy. The value off a Nokia, just hard playing a Nokia to then get to free play a Agumon. We have 2 on-play Agumons that are also searchers. Like, there's just too much value in Nokia not to want to maximize on her. So getting her into play as quick as possible is like a no-brainer for sure. So getting Kapurimon online is super easy. So I really like this. There's no other like difficult stipulation. You don't have to choose attacking the security or attacking your opponent's Digimon or having over a certain DP threshold or anything like that. It's a super easy one to trigger. But I do have the Koromon here. If you have 4 more Digivolution cards, you get the 1,000 DP buff. Just a backup for the WarGreymon. You could almost argue just cutting the Koromon entirely, honestly. Not a big deal, not a huge like must-have card for the deck. This Greymon here at the end is just a card we're going to talk about. Just wanted to point that out. Sorry. Sidetracked. Next, we got our Agumon. This is our black Agumon here. On play, reveal the top 4 cards of your deck. Add 1 Greymon in its name and 1 Dragonkin in its traits among them to your hand. Place the remaining cards at the bottom of the deck in any order. So this is a great one. Most of our stuff is Greymon or Dragonkin, so we've got tons and tons of targets here. I mean, literally half the deck is a target for this Agumon. Now he is an on-play only, so you can evo him if you want to in racing area, but more often than not, you're just going to want to hard play him. We have the 1 Greymon here that can't evo on top of him, but everything else we're golden. Next, we have the other Agumon. This is reveal 3, add 1 Greymon and 1 Omnimon in its name among them to your hands. We do play the Blitz Omnimon for game here. If you saw the feature match, you saw this card coming in clutch. Just another great dig card. We're picking up Greymon, so if we need to pick up a Mega, a level 5, a level 4, you know, we've got literally Greymons in every single level except for Rookie because it doesn't exist. But so whatever we're missing, clearly if we have the Rookie on field, we've got a Rookie, so we just need anything beyond that. So another great card that just combos great with Nokia. All right, and then next we've got the promo Agumon here from way back when. This has the inheritable of plus 2,000 on all of its Greymon. So pretty much almost everything that evos on top of him, just about. We have a single level 4 that will not get this benefit, but everything else will get the plus 2k benefit here of that
2000, which is actually super huge for our Greymon, our Red WarGreymon specifically. This is so imperative. Like, we'll talk about it in just a second, but I do want to just mention we have the other Agumon here that gives 1000. Clearly, the 2000 is better, but this is a good backup. You can combine this one with the baby to give a plus 2k. So if we look at this 11,000 DP and why this matters so much, the promo Agumon puts him at 13,000. With the baby, that gives him 14,000. That swings over your Mastamon opponents. Being able to swing over Mastamon is pretty huge. We also got stuff like Metagame giving piercing, so that also just benefits you even more. But also hitting them in security, being able to survive hitting them in security. But that's for Mastay specifically. Now the plus 2,000 is important. Whether you've just got the promo Agumon or you're rocking the baby and the regular Agumon, whichever combination you want, to give him plus 2,000 is also important, because lots of megas in this format are 12,000. If you just look at the BlackWarGreymon himself, he's 12,000. If we look at Imperial is 12,000. You know, lots of these like actually meta decks all have these 12,000. Omnimon has 12,000. So against security control, you also need to be able to swing over that DP threshold in case you hit one. So plus 2k is actually huge. Actually super important to have a plus 2k buff at least. But against Mastamon, it's really important to get a plus 3k buff. So that's why we're playing the ones we are. I think that's like the biggest change of how you run this version versus other versions. If you're running like the draw Koromons and stuff, I don't think you should run this WarGreymon. You're not gonna have the DP to survive against a lot of threats in this format. So I just think that's super important, is to get those DP buffs. If you're going to be running this WarGreymon, you got to have some DP buffs. All right, so moving on to our level 4s here, we've got the new Greymon that's the virus type, can evo on top of black or red, which is important because we do have that one black Agumon searcher. It does come up where you want to evo on top of him occasionally, especially with this one, because it gives, if you have a red on field, has the inheritable of blocker, you know, that does come up every once in a while. I'll evo on top of this guy just to have a blocker out there while I'm getting something ready in raising area. You know, I'm getting into like a big security attack plus Greymon in raising area, but I need a blocker on field in the meantime. So I like to have this Greymon for that. Now, he is black. He can evo on top of either of these, but also if you look at our level 5s here, our level 5s can evo on top of black or red. So that's one of the main reasons I picked these level 5s, is because they can evo on top of him as well. And he is a Greymon, so I particularly wanted a Greymon that could you know, a Greymon in general, just so we can hit it off the searches, as well as one that can evo on top of black or red. The alternative was I could run this Greymon here and reduce the evo cost by 1. Now, this only works, you know, out of the raising area, and the only time I ever want to evo this Greymon out of the raising area is on top of one of my searchers. And if one of my searchers is the black one, that's like literally half the cards that he's going to evo on top of, I can't even evo on top of him. That's why I don't play this one, is just because he can't. If he could evo on top of black or red, I would 100% run this one over the black one, just because of that. But because he can't evo on top of half the hard played Agumons I have out of raising area, there's no point. He does have a 2k DP buff, but I'm not that worried about it. I think the blocker is pretty cool, and I think the versatility of black or red is also super important. So that's why we're going with that Greymon specifically, is because it combos so great with the black Agumon. And the black Agumon is super good in this deck. It's it helps the consistency. The best decks in the format are the most consistent decks. Speaking of, and this is kind of the same thing, it can evo on top of black or red. That is why we play it, is because it's got the versatility, and that's what we like to see is versatility, and that's just super key. So that's why we run this one, as well. It is a Dragonkin as well, so it actually combos with our searcher there. We can add like a Greymon and this guy as our Dragonkin. So if you reveal like a WarGreymon, you can add the WarGreymon as your Greymon and this guy as your Dragonkin. So actually combos pretty nicely. Not just the fact that he's red and black Evo, but also that he's a Dragonkin, like super perfect. And then has the inheritable of when attacking, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 2000 DP or less. That's actually pretty cool because that's going to be stuff like your memory blockers, less important for this deck, but that's a lot of rookies out there that your opponent might just leave sitting there because they don't really know what kind of shenanigans you might be up to, so they might leave a rookie out there. If you're looking at like the VMon decks, right, so if you could... say you de-digivolve with this Metagame that we're about to talk about, you can de-digivolve an armor and then attack and use the when attacking to delete the VMon. I think it's every VMon in the game is 2000 DP or less. So, all those Armor Rush decks and even the Imperial decks to an extent, you're able to pop all those VMons that are just chilling on field with this guy. So actually he's pretty cool. He's got a whole lot of synergy going on with the format as well as his typing and his Evos. Really just solid card for the deck. And then next, of course, we're going to be running this Greymon. I love this Greymon so much. It's in pretty much every WarGreymon deck I've ever built. Inheritable security attack +1. I mean, it's such a straightforward card. That price is stupid. It's not that much. I don't know where they get their prices from sometimes. But yeah, so pretty solid card there. Security attack +1. Again, with the red WarGreymon, like that's perfect combination card for that. That's exactly the one you're going to want. All right, and then next we got the Metagame I was just talking about. So when digivolving, de-digivolve one on one of your opponent's Digimon, then delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 3000 DP or less. Again, another great card for countering Armor Rush specifically is super awesome, but also I believe if you're de-digivolving... oh no, I was going to say BlackWarGreymon, but I believe the Stingmon goes on the bottom. But still a pretty solid card, like counters Armor Rush pretty nicely, can do some other great shenanigans. You can digivolve one, pop something, and then swing with and then use the Cyclomon to pop something else. Some pretty good synergies here. Now he is a 4 Evo cost, which is pretty steep for a level 5. It's one of the bigger Evos in this game for a level 5. But to mitigate that, we are running the Nokias. And if you're not familiar with Nokia can reduce the Evo cost of your Greymons. So we can actually mitigate this down to a 3 Evo. If you got a memory fixer on field, you're fine. So not too big a deal. And then, like I said, we're running 4 Nokias, so we can reduce this even further, making it way more viable than even that. So this Evo cost is a little steep, but don't worry about it because we have ways to mitigate it, so it's not too bad. And then the inheritable here is actually pretty awesome. Your turn, while this Digimon has Dragonkin or Machine in its traits, which both WarGreymons are Dragonkin, it can also attack your opponent's unsuspended Digimon. So that's great for just board control. If you want to go BlackWarGreymon to pop some... of your opponent's tamers, and then you can swing in, use the Metagame inheritable, then to attack their Digimon. Like, it's just great synergy there just to control the field. That's what the BlackWarGreymon side of things is just complete and total board control. And then the red WarGreymon side is your aggro, strategy in general. So yeah, Cyclomon for just deleting stuff. You got the Greymon for blocker, Metagame here for controlling your opponent's board, and then BlackWarGreymon for controlling the field. Now we also have the Metagame here of it has a 3 Evo cost, black or red, which we talked about earlier is very important for this Greymon here, the virus type. Has a win attacking ability that you probably won't use that much, if ever, but when this Digimon attacks a player, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 4000 DP or less. The only time I could see like you just having to do this is, say you've got no security, your opponent, they hard play a rookie to pass turn. That's, they're hoping it survives so that way they can swing for game next turn. This deck doesn't have any sort of recovery like that. Say it's got, like 3000 DP or 4000 even, and so Cyclomon can't delete it, and they're just banking on you not being able to clear it. They think the Metagame maybe, maybe you don't have it or something like that, or yeah, maybe it is 4000 DP and this 3000 DP won't clear it. Then you have no choice, Evo into this Metagame and attack their security with this Metagame to delete that thing off field. That's like the only like niche scenario I could think of that it comes up with. But really though, the reason we're playing it is because it can Evo on top of black or red. And then this inheritable is actually super good of your turn. Your Dragonkin and Machine types get piercing. So again, both your WarGreymons are Dragonkin, so you will get piercing. I think the piercing on both these guys, again, is super great. being able to swing over stuff like Mastamon or just anything really. Piercing is great, so I don't mind the piercing because it's going underneath a mega. If it's underneath a mega, my mega's pretty beefy, especially with all these DP buffs, and we've probably got multiple security attacks, whether the Greymon or the Tai, or we've got the WarGreymon ability himself. We've got so much security attack plus that you don't want to attack your opponent's Digimon and lose out on that chance to clear a bunch of security. So giving yourself piercing also is actually super great. So really like this one with this deck. So next we got the BlackWarGreymon itself. Again, another 4 Evo cost, pretty steep. But once again, with Nokia, not too bad. You can actually mitigate this down quite a bit. When Digivolving, if this Digimon has a red Digivolution card, choose any number of your opponent's Digimon. If it has a black, choose your opponent's Tamers. The chosen cards play cost must add up to 6 or less. Delete the chosen cards. So like I said, you could delete your opponent's Tamers. 2 3-cost Tamers, or like one of the 4 cost, like memory fixers. He's really great at clearing Tamers, which I really like, but also has that versatility of being able to pop other things as well. And we have a decent bit of black in here. The Agumon, again, another great reason that we play the Agumon is that it combos with the BlackWarGreymon. So if say you go Agumon and you go like I guess Cyclonemon also is going to get you there, but yeah, so you're going to have multiple things that are going to give him black underneath, multiple chances to get black underneath, to be able to target either or. But either way, it's still pretty solid. And then there wasn't a errata on this, but all turns, once per turn, when an opponent's Digimon is deleted, it's now you may unsuspend this Digimon. Before there was a bit of an issue where if you Digivolve and delete a Digimon in play with his when Digivolving effect, you would immediately trigger this, and if he was already unsuspended, then you just missed out on it. Now you can Evo into him, pop a Digimon, swing, attack a Digimon, delete that Digimon, and then unsuspend. So you can do it off the second deletion rather than the first if you need it. So the May is actually super important that they did that errata for him. I don't know, it might have been correct in the original Japanese, but either way, it's fixed now for English, so that's really great. So yeah, he's just a great control card, great for multiple attacks. If you got the piercing, amazing if you have the piercing underneath, but even if you just have the other Metal Greymon attack whatever they have that's unsuspended, and then you delete it, and then you unsuspend yourself and attack again. Great synergy. I love this deck. Just everything just synergizes. Everything. It doesn't matter what your Evo stack is. You're doing cool stuff, doing very powerful stuff. It all just flows together so perfectly. And then speaking of our final Greymon here is the original BT1. So when Digivolving, you get Security Attack +1 for the turn. Now remember, that's only for the turn, unfortunately. I think nowadays they could make this card again and it just has Security Attack +1 and this other effect. Like, honestly, they could just have both of these all under your turn, and it wouldn't even be like OP anymore. It's just a regular card, but that's neither here nor there. And then your turn, this Digimon doesn't activate security skills on option cards it checks. So in this format, security control is huge. It's like the second most played deck after Imperial, but even Imperial has tons of stuff. Hammer Sparks, Ice Walls, what is it? The new blue-green removal option. They're playing a couple of those in there. Memory boost cards. Tons of stuff in there. I mean, it's particularly those Hammer Sparks and Ice Walls. Those are pretty major, including the removal options as well. But being able to just turn all that off against, you're basically turning off everything, the 2 most played decks in the entire format. You're turning off their entire security. That's so powerful, and both those decks live and die by their security options. So being able to turn off that for both those decks, this is like a meta counter deck right here. This WarGreymon specifically is very much a meta call card, and right now in the current meta, he's actually pretty awesome. So honestly, if you're looking at BlackWarGreymon, look at this WarGreymon as well, because he's just countering the entire meta, and I think this deck is surprisingly a solid meta call deck. The only thing holding it back is that it might be a little bit slower than those Imperial decks, but not by much though. I mean, with a mulligan, if they bring back mulligans, this deck will probably be like right up there in the top. Now moving on, we do have the Blitz Omnimon. So when Digivolving Blitz, also when Digivolving Unsuspend this Digimon, if you weren't aware, this is just how you go for game. We've got the 2 in here just for that added. You really don't want to Digivolve this guy on top of these WarGreymons unless you're literally going to win. It's almost never worth it unless you just really need to swing over something your opponent has, like a Digimon that they might have on field that they're about to win the game with. Then you might, go into it. But more than often, you're just holding him until you're ready to win. If you saw the feature match, you saw how great he was. And we can actually add him off of the search with the Agumon here. So if you actually do play this Agumon off the Nokia and you hit the Omnimon, you don't just feel bad that you bottom decked your Omnimon. You actually get to add it to hand. So it actually has pretty solid synergy with the deck. Really good stuff for sure. Now for our option cards, we're playing Crimson Blade as our removal of choice. I decided against the duo color Dark Gaia Force simply because we're a little bit more limited on our black cards in this deck. If you go into the red BlackWarGreymon, then you're just kind of out of it. You're getting really difficult to get another black on field, so it could be a bit of a tricky to play it. Now again, if you're not aware, those duo colored option cards, you need both colors on field, whether that's Tamer or Digimon or something in raising area. They've got to have both colors through any combination of stuff on the field. A lot of people don't know that, and we keep iterating it, but it keeps getting missed. So we're playing Crimson Blaze instead here. Reduce the memory cost of this card in your hand by 1 for each of your each Digimon your opponent has in play. So if you're playing it, essentially at most it'll be a 5. I mean, you shouldn't be playing this if there's nothing on field, but it's basically a 5. Delete all your opponent's Digimon with 6,000 DP or less. That's going to be hitting armors really hard. 2 of their 3 armors are all underneath 6,000 DP on your turn. Hitting other things, just it hits the meta really hard. Mastamon, all those level 5s that they've got that they really like to use are all 6,000 DP or less. All those new angels that they have. So that's pretty awesome that it hits that one as well. So it's just a decent card. We're just playing it at a 2 of. Nothing too crazy. Like our BlackWarGreymon's got some pretty we've got control elsewhere with the BlackWarGreymon and the MetaGreymon inheritable, that this isn't like a must-have, but it is a little nice to have just as a little bit of a contingency sort of card to have. And it can just get super low if your opponent builds up with like multiple rookies, whether that be Agumons in the mirror or Vmons, whatever it is. You can just do a whole big board wipe, which isn't too bad. So really liking Crimson Blaze. Your opponent can't play Digimon by effects until the end of their next turn. Yeah, Mastamon, they don't get Mastamon effect. Like, keep that in mind. If you play Crimson Blaze, don't let them play anything for free out of their security because your Crimson Blaze turns off Mastamon. That's huge. That's huge. Also, the Hell Scythe. They can't play free stuff off the Hell Scythe. Just keep that in mind against Mastay. It's particularly against Mastay, just Mastay. But that's actually pretty relevant. Next, we got Tai. It's a memory fixer. We want to run memory fixers here. Marcus isn't really needed in this build as much. We really like the security attack +1 because we're playing the red BlackWarGreymon. This card is always comboed great with the regular BT1 red BlackWarGreymon. So that's why we're going to run it as well. And then the last card is Nokia, which we've already talked about a few times. 3 play costs. On play, you may play an Agumon or Gabumon from your hand without paying its memory cost. And you get their on-play effects because it doesn't say otherwise. So then you get your Searchers, which is great. This is like the perfect card. You hard play this out, turn 1. Play an Agumon, search with the Agumon. That's so much value, especially if you evoed one of your other Agumons in raising area. So you got, 2 bodies in play and a Tamer. Going first with 0 memory, that's really, really good. So Nokia is great for like first turn, just getting started, but also when digivolving one of your Digimon into a Digimon card in your hand with Guru, Omni, or Greymon in its name, you may suspend this Tamer to reduce the memory cost of the Digivolution by 1. So that's what we were talking about through the whole video of being able to reduce our Evo cost for all of our Greymon. Also works for Omnimon. I do forget that it works for Omnimon as well. Usually though, again, Blitz Omnimon for game. You don't really care what your memory ends up at. Anyway, you've got Blitz and you're just winning. So, but yeah, there's so much value there. Hard play this, hard play an Agumon, add 2 to hand. man, I don't even know what to say other than that. This card is great. That's why we played it a 4 of. Very rare do I play 4 of Tamers in a non-hybrid deck. Like that's just how good Nokia is in this whole build. Like she is phenomenal in this deck that you will 100% want to play 4 of her. It doesn't even feel like a brick ever. If you just play her without the on-play effect, still not too bad because she just sets up all that reduction later on. So super solid card. And we already talked about the Greymon earlier. So that will do it. If you have any suggestions on alternatives that you like to play instead, definitely let me know. I'm definitely excited to get to play more of this deck. I've missed playing BT1 WarGreymon. I love that card so much. Any chance I get to run it, I am totally in favor of, like just one of my favorite cards from the very beginning of the game. It's almost like my Blue Eyes White Dragon. Like really, it's like on that level of, that's kind of what it means to me. It's that one of those very first cards. And one of your favorites, from the anime or whatever from your childhood. I feel like everyone at one point liked WarGreymon at some point, and that's just kind of how the nostalgia feels for me. Any chance I get to play it, I'm definitely in favor of playing it.